Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for being here. It's really great for us. It's a great event. A big part of the team is here, so we are really glad about it. So, my name is Maud. I'm a developer on the Kilt team. So the company is actually called Bot Labs, but we built the Kilt protocol. And we are built on Substrate. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about why the heck we pick Substrate. Why the heck is because we get this question a lot, and it was a bit of a bet for us, like for a lot of you, I think, and yeah, and we're really happy about our choice. So yeah, that's what I want to tell you about today. Okay, so when we sat down and were thinking back about why actually we picked Substrate, one of the first justifications that came up in our team from one of our, tech heads was pretty impressive, as you can see. So we met the team, they were nice, and so yeah, we picked Substrate. So yeah, actually there are many more sound reasons why we actually picked Substrate, but I think what I want to tell you here is that in the end, when you pick a technology, it's rarely only purely 100% about the technology, and I think that's what this quote here kind of illustrates. So. Okay, so first, before I move on and tell you about some of the reasons why we pick Substrate, I think it's interesting maybe for you to know what it is we're using exactly in Substrate, not purely the Substrate runtime modules, but also other dependencies and how we're using them in our stack, basically. So, what the heck is Kilt? With credentials in the Web 2, I think a lot of you are maybe familiar with this topic already, but there are a bunch of issues. The first one is that large data silos are pretty much a honeypot for hackers, and the second one is also that large data silos create monopolies, which in turn hinders innovation. So what Kilt is doing is credentials for the Web 3. I'm going to use in this talk credentials, attested claims, or attestations interchangeably. It all means kind of the same thing for us. Two things that are specific to Kilt and that we're including in our credential system, attestation system is, first we have this concept of C-types, which are credential or claim types, which enable you to have a more granular and precise approach in the sorts of credentials you're attesting for or getting attested. That's one. And the second aspect is that we really try to make Kilt suitable for real-life trust structures. So, for example, if you think of delegation structures, what this means is that a government agency might, for example, cascade down some trust to a government officer for them to attest a credential. And that's what Kilt is doing with the concept of delegation. So that was a broad overview of what we are doing at Kilt. And in terms of our code base, the core of what we do is we have two core repositories. The first one is our chains, which is our chain, which is a Substrate chain, which I will tell you about. And the second one, which that is really very important for us because it really, for us, lowers the barrier to entry to Kilt functionalities is our SDK, our software development kit. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So, but for us, both these repositories are of equal importance. Okay. So a few words about our chain. So the Kilt blockchain is open source. I mean, the code base is open source. It's a public chain, and as of now, we're running in a proof of authority mode, and we plan on becoming permissionless when we feel ready for it. And we are built on Substrate, and we are a standalone Substrate chain at the moment, which. But in the future, we have the ambition of becoming a para-thread or a para-chain. But so that's hence the word standalone for now. Yeah. So I touched on that a little bit, but I want to give you an overview of what it is we're using from the Substrate stack. So I know that Substrate is mostly about the Substrate runtime module library, but I think a lot of you also are using other dependency and packages, for example, from the Polkadot.js repo. Okay, so this is what I want to illustrate here. So this is our chain code base, which we call the MashNet node, which is our testnet, which is built on Substrate, and so making use of Rust for sure. and we built it based on the Substrate node templates. Okay, so it's using some of the modules that I'm going to tell you a little bit about. Okay, yeah, what's on the top is more Kilt, and what's on the bottom is like Polkadot Substrate parity in the terms of GitHub repository. Okay. And then we have our SDK, which is written in TypeScript to really make it available to a broad range of developers from different backgrounds, including web developers, which communicates with our MeshNet node via RPC calls. So we're making use of the API packages, and also of some additional Polkadot.js dependencies, such as the keyring or the crypto libraries for signing. Okay. So this is really the core of what Kilt is about, and on top of that we have a bunch of demo applications and services or a faucet that make use of, for example, the Identicon library, okay? And finally, we fork the telemetry and Polkadot apps in order to have our own, but this is more for developer tooling purposes. Okay, I hope that gives you an overview of our stack. And now to our runtime. So this is what it's made up of. So here you see the Substrate modules that we're using, and on the bottom the custom modules that we've been building. You see here we're really using some of the essentials of the modules, such as balances and timestamp sudo. And on top of that, this tells you about our consensus mechanism that we're using. Yeah, I'm sure you can see that very well. But so basically we have a bunch of custom modules. So the first one is attestations. This is really the core of what we're doing for you to be able to store the hash of an attestation on chain. Okay. Another one is C-type. So C-type is the credential type that I touched on also earlier. We also have one specific module dedicated to managing delegation, so delegation trees and top-down or trust structures. And we also have one for decentralized identifiers. All right. Okay. So I think this tells you a little bit about the history of Kilt. So. Yeah, our repository for the MeshNet node is about 1 year old for now, so this is pretty much worth a party emoji, right? And so what this means is this is very early stage, we think, in terms of the Substrate, the Substrate and Polkadot ecosystem. So yeah, so this is basically the amount of commits, and then we had a few things happened, obviously, in the history of this repo. We had a Substrate update. We had our launch in May of this year. And yeah, and another Substrate update is ongoing right now. I don't need to do that. Okay, and this is the SDK.js repo activity. So, this is not a linear scale, right? Because this is more about 30,000 here. I just wanted to show you that to illustrate the fact that we're also working a lot on our SDK. And also in terms of code base, it's larger, but that's because Substrate enabled us to have a small code base for our MeshNet, right? So we could really focus on the SDK too. Yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you about Kilt and how it is we're using Substrate. But this doesn't really tell us why we picked it, so now I want to tell you a little bit more about the expected wins, so what we expected to gain by using Substrate, which pretty much maps to the reason why we started using it, right? Okay, so there were a few reasons why we picked Substrate, but basically, to give you a little bit of context, back then, obviously for us, BotLabs is a startup, so building our own chain was never an option. The choice we had to make was more between Ethereum and Substrate. Okay, so the one and I think the thing we liked the most about Substrate was the vision of having all of these interoperable and purpose-led chains, and of course the experience of the founders. And we like the idea of having this later mover advantage, maybe on the Ethereum space, simply because of the reason that Substrate just came later, right? So hopefully it could put together some of the lessons maybe from the Ethereum system. And we also like that it was a bet for us, as I mentioned before, but because we knew that Parity needed substrate in order to put together Polkadot and make Polkadot work, we kind of knew that substrate would be well maintained and it would be a good tool. And that's what we were hoping for, and we're not disappointed here. So, yeah, the team looked at the code base and it looked good, whatever that means, but you know what I mean, like just getting a feel for what's in there and how is it going to work out for us. And there were like extra things that we also really liked, such as the modular approach and thinking, okay, you can really have this bunch of modules that you can put together and mix and match to really build your own blockchain. And we really like this thought. And of course, the runtime upgrades for us was something that was, it felt like very specific to Substrate, and it also felt like it would be for sure an advantage. Yeah. And of course, but maybe not of course, the fact that the company was in Berlin, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that because I mean, it's not a technical justification, but in the end, for sure, it's nice to be sitting in the same city as the tool you're going to be using a lot over the next month, and this makes communication much easier. It enables us to meet the team at an early stage and so on. So, I mean, it played a role for sure in the end. Yeah, that's about it for the main reasons we picked it. So, what did we get out of this? I think the first aspect is really speed. So we were talking to Ingo. Ingo is our founder about the first month of building a chain with Substrate, and he mentioned something that when he got the first estimate from the developers about how long would it take to build the first POC of the chain, he doubled it as he usually does, with developer estimates. And he also expressed that this time, actually, the developers were right, so he was really surprised about the speed at which this could start. It doesn't mean it was simple, because we started, at an early stage, so it was rough around the edges, but still, we could achieve what we did with a good amount of speed. So, yeah, and the second thing we got out of this was really focus, and when I mean focus is like a little bit more like when you're using AWS, then you don't need to think about server racks and load balancing that much. And this is a little bit with the feeling we got out of using Substrate, right? We did not need to think about the deep intricacies of how two nodes would communicate, because we could just use some modules and focus on what it is we were actually trying to build in terms of functionality for the attestations. Yeah. So speed and focus, it's pretty much the dream of lots of startups, I think. So for us, it was a good confirmation that it was a good choice for us. So these were the core reasons why we picked Substrate. But on top of that, there were a few extra wins. It's not that they were totally unexpected. We kind of knew we would get that, but maybe the impact of what it would bring to us, we didn't foresee that much, and it's also something we are really happy about. Yeah, the first thing I want to tell you about is the concept of safe exploration, which is a concept it's a concept you can find mostly, for example, in user experience or user interface, and the idea is that you should be able to explore new features of your system without it being destructive. So if you think of interface, think of it like the undo button, for example, is a good illustration of this concept. You can try new features and it's not going to be destructive. Or maybe the Slack bot is another example. You can try out stuff and it's just, it won't have any big destructive impacts, right? And obviously this translates also in developer experience, because in the end, that's self-exploration is what allows you to unlock some powerful features of the system, because you're going to go and try them out and knowing it's not going to destroy whatever it is you're building. And we think that with Substrate, we got safe exploration on a few layers, actually. So the bottom is here more purely technical, and the top is more about software and maybe more blurry aspects of safe exploration. The first thing is Rust, of course. The language is known for being safe, but it also gives you good signals when you're doing something wrong. So we feel it's a good way to be able to explore safely. Okay. The next one is, of course, the runtime module library. It enables us to explore, we feel, because you can put together some modules and then mix and match. So this is great for, for quick exploration. We also, forkless runtime upgrades, it binds to the same concept, but maybe at a higher level or at a lower frequency, if you will, because you're going to be able to upgrade your chain without including forks. So that's kind of the next layer. And finally, when you're trying to do something new, you know how your tools kind of shape you. So it's great for us to be able to use a tool where we know that the mindset is pretty much aligned in terms of exploration. What I mean here is that, the Kusama motto, which is about expect chaos, no promises. And since we feel we're really trying to do something new also at Kilt, it's great to be able to use a tool that aligns with this mindset. And I think it also permeates through what we do. So, yeah. Another win, which today is also about, I think, is the ecosystem aspect. So for us, we knew that, Polkadot would come at some point, and you have the ability to make parachains communicate better with each other, okay? So for us, the first thing we saw, obviously, was more of the business opportunity. So that's what I call micro here, because this is really at Kilt's scope. We feel we're going to get something out of it, and this is a good opportunity. That's the micro case, so to say. But on the other hand, if you've been at Web3 Summit or other conferences this year, you might have heard a lot the idea that within the space, people are not communicating well enough with another. It is very fragmented, and we should move forward a world where we have more interoperability between blockchains and maybe more purpose chains that communicate with each other. And so for us, we feel that by helping this happen, by joining this space, like I think everyone who's in this room today, we feel we're making a move in the good direction and kind of pushing the ecosystem and the blockchain space where we want to see it too. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to dig a little bit deeper and just tell you where focus took us. What I mean here is to describe some of the features of Kilt and what you can do with it, okay? And also the sort of stuff we're thinking about at the moment, so some next features we have in mind. So I told you already about attestations, okay? I'm going to describe quickly to you what is the core flow of Kilt, okay? What do we mean with this attestation thing? So the flow looks as follows. You are the claimer. The claimer can be a user, but it could also be an organization, or it can be a piece of chocolate that claims to be fair trade. So it's a very wide concept in a way. When you think of attestations, it's not just web credentials, right? So the claimer would make a claim about themselves, and the tester in return would check that this claim checks out, right? And send back the credential. What the tester would also do is write a hash of the credential on the Kilt chain, which in return give them the ability to revoke this very attestation later on. Later, when, for example, if you think that this credential is a driver's license, which is a very already seen example, but I think it illustrates the point. The verifier might be a policeman, and the whole system relies on the existence of an actual trust relationship between the tester and the verifier. That's the way it works. It means most probably a real-life trust relationship, right? And when verification time comes, the claimer would present their credential. And by the way, only the hash is stored on the chain. So the full credential, including potentially some personal data, is stored locally on a wallet or whatever you like, all encrypted. Yeah, you would present your credential. You have the ability to hide some attributes. For example, you just want to show how old you are, but you don't want to show your birthday. That could be something. Or you want to show, that you're over 21 or over 18. You would present your credential, and in turn, the verifier would check that this hash is actually present on chain. That's the core flow of what you can do with Kilt. So that's what I call here, this is the revocable credential flow. On top of that, I touched on delegation. So you can create some more complex trust structures with this history of delegation of trust, as well as legitimation. And right now, what's in gray is the things we are working on right now. So we are working on a quote system, which basically would enable you to set up more of a contract here in the legal sense between a claimer and an attester. Because as a claimer, you would actually pay for your attestation, and so this needs to be a real legal contract. We are working on making these credentials anonymous, and also on a concept called TCAs, token created attesters, that would enable you to create regulation-friendly virtual structures. So for this, we have something on the website, and Martin, who's here, can tell you more about it if you're interested. Yeah. Okay, so that was for what we've built, and now I want to tell you a little bit about up next. Not in terms of features, because I think I touched on that, but also mostly in terms of what's on our mind, right? What are the topics we need to be thinking about right now in terms of what we're doing? So the thing is, if this is okay, if this is Polkadot and Kilt is using Polkadot, what Kilt is really doing is building a developer community on top of the Polkadot and Substrate users developer community. Okay, so the way this works is we are building, and we already have integrators. So we're building this network of integrators who are actually development teams and agencies who build on top of Kilt, and then in return can make these attestations and credential features available to industry players. And all of that I'm telling you because it means that, I mean, our users are also developers. So in the end, I think the sorts of stuff we're thinking about right now are similar to yours, but the crowd we're interacting with is a little bit different, because they are not purely blockchain developers. There are also people working in more maybe traditional web agencies, and they need to be able to use the Kilt SDK to then build attestation and credential features. A few of our integrators, and some of them are here today, so ping them if you like. We have Galani Project and Spry Labs that are based in Berlin, as well as UnitB, and also Glacial Blockchain, which is a Chinese integrator. So the sorts of use case we have on there, they really stretches from the food registry integration. We also have a custody solution. We have digital securities, and yeah, a few others. Oh yeah, and Glacial Blockchain is focusing on intellectual property, which, if you think about it, is a good use case for attestations and credentialing, or e-government. So yeah, these are the sorts of things we're working on. And if you look at that, for us, this is really the way Kilt will get widespread adoption, and in turn, Polkadot as well, right? All right, so to wrap it up a little bit, or to kind of map what we have on our mind, one very important topic for us at the moment is developer experience. So we are working on documentation. We know that there are some things that we could make easier for newcomers to get started with. For example, I don't know, we could have a Docker container with a script you just run to get started with that would set you up with a node for local development, or a demo client, which is a little demo application, some services, so you don't have to do it all by yourself. This is something we want to be doing very soon. Of course, we also want to be building the new features I told you about already in the previous slides. And developer experience and features, this is all for the purpose of more adoption, right? This is, all we want is for more people to be using Kilt-based systems. So, yeah. This is an example of a biometric smart card that we're partnering with to make Kilt maybe more accessible to wider audience, so you don't have to download a crypto wallet, which is maybe a bit of a foreign concept for some people, but you can use something that's also already very familiar, and you can have your credentials on there. Yeah, and of course, so we'll build on Substrate, and I mentioned before we have the ambition to become a parachain. So we want to be, of course, playing with Kusama and see how this goes. So yeah, and since yesterday's PR, we now know that we can transfer tokens. So this token actually has been transferred to me, which is pretty cool yesterday. Yeah, that's what we have on our mind. And I think the interesting thing, if we think of, okay, developer experience of Kilt, new features, adoption, and Kusama, in the end, this all kind of connects to the ecosystem. So, you know, you and us as well. For a few reasons. I mean, of course, you know, as I mentioned, developer experience, because when the Substrate developer experience gets better, which we've already really seen happen in the last month with lots of very good documentation coming up, this makes it also easier for some of our developers. So the integrator teams that are, for example, running a local node and get going from there. New features, we also see, I touched on anonymous credentials, so we've been talking, for example, with Edgeware on this topic, and we also think there's the potential to leverage collaborations on there, of course, because maybe there will be a parachain focused on zero knowledge, and that's something we want to be thinking about, among other technologies we've evaluated. And adoption, of course, this is a bit of the same idea, but the other way around. We also think that some other parachain candidates or para-threads could make good use of attestations and credentials, so that's where we really see collaboration happening. And yeah, Kusama, I told you about already. So in the end, this all connects to the ecosystem, so you and us, and so I feel I've been chatting with some people today already, but for us, the message for you today is really we want to know who you are, and we want to get to know each other, and not always in terms of, hey, you could be using Kilt. It's also about interesting. We're using the same technology. So what is it you're doing? What are you thinking of at the moment? And we also feel some of the teams here also have developers as users. So we're always happy to, you know, exchange ideas and talk. So yeah, I think that was it. Thank you, everybody. Just one thing I forgot. Twitter handles, we have a React channel there if you want to ping us on there. And I was asked to show you this, so I will do it. Yeah. Okay. I hope everybody is reading that because it's very important. Okay. Do we have time for questions? Okay. So.
What is the tokenomics of Kilt, and how are you going to make money, and why people should care about tokens?
I think I will give this question away. Someone is going to answer it better.
Yeah, sure. So, why would you want to hold and trade Kilt, and what's the utility behind the token, and how will it get value? So the main utility of the token is that you can write attestations to the chain, revocable credentials. And on top of this, we will enable these virtual structures, which are bottom-up built attester structures. So it's based on TCR, token-curated registry mechanisms, but we iterate on the concept. So I would not like to go into the details because then we're lost. But if you're interested, we can talk about it offline. Yeah, but these are the main two utilities for the token.
One more question.
Hi, I'm Chris DaCosta from Totem. I'm just interested to find out about how you think about backing up the credential information, because if you're creating a hash from the information, and that information is lost in some way, then you won't be able to recreate that hash.
Yeah, so the hash is generated depending on the contents of the credentials, right? And that's really what the protocol is about. You can generate, you have this credential that you're encouraged to store locally on your side, and then only the hash is stored on chain. So you can think of it, it's a bit like a key in the end that you only hold, so you are responsible indeed for backing up your credentials in a safe way, right? Does that answer your question?
It kind of does. I mean,
So-
that explains the process. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we have sort of a similar sort of issues
Okay, yeah.
in terms of it's something that you can't just rely on sort of individuals to back up that information and just have
Yeah.
it.
Oh, something I should add on there is that we are the services, right? So this is another part, maybe to back to our business model. This is also the idea for us to offer the service for end users, claimers to back up these credentials and monetize this as well, right? So yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Also, we are partnering with a company called Finoa, which is making custody solutions. So they're integrating Kilt into their system, so you can have your claims and credentials saved at their safe HSM modules, if you want.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.